Kcaa Radio, the only true local radio station
Off that
on your
exhausting
radio.
hamster wheel and into balanced living.
With Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into this, my favorite talk radio show called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, a show about hope and happiness broadcasting out of the Sunset Gower Studios here in Hollywood, California. Tuesdays at naturally high noon, Universal Broadcasting Network, and then every Thursday at 7, Saturday at 1 on my syndicated CNBC, NBC News Radio News Channel, Kcaa AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and everywhere where iHeartRadio is. And as I mentioned, I would like to splatter you with hope and happiness, so I will not be talking about gossip, scandal, and no K-words, no Kardashian talk at all. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. And I hope you had the best Christmas ever. I hope you enjoyed your family. 88% of them. I know there's probably a couple of them that you're not that happy because they keep asking the same questions that you don't want to answer, but that's okay. As long as you had 88% splattering of hope and happiness, we're in a good place. And this is our New Year's Eve, or coming into the New Year episode. So I am here to bring you guests to help you with that. And before I do that, I just want to thank all of my listeners and supporters out there as we close out this year. Thank you so much for all your support, especially for the 107,000 YouTube views. Unbelievable. Since we have cameras in the studio, it's just been wonderful, and thank you for subscribing. It is free, giving me the finger or a thumbs up on my Facebook fan page. That way, the more numbers we have, the more sponsors we get, and the longer I can splatter hope and happiness on you. And if you missed my fabulous guests like Potsy, Anson Williams from Happy Days, or Marianne Dawn Wells from Gilligan's Island, or Stand By Me and Goonies, Corey Feldman, Muhammad Ali's daughter, Layla Ali, then you're going to have to go to my YouTube and get those and watch them over the holidays. You have time now, so no excuses. And so I am now ready to bring you a very special guest, someone who's very dear to my heart to help you bring in the new year. She is one of my favorite life balance coaching clients, and it's been a blessing working with her and watching her just grow into her unique talents, gifts, and abilities, and helping her build this beautiful new practice that she has. And she is a recovering corporate attorney who graduated Phi Beta Kappa from Baylor, a law degree from a top 15 law school, a master's degree in metaphysics, and now finding her authentic self, helping others to do the same. Please welcome to my studio, Rainey Hiley.
Hi, Dr. Marissa. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And there's your applause. I hope you feel very soothed by it.
I feel loved.
Good. And I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Corey Feldman and Anson Williams, which is, I have a friend who doesn't have an answering machine. She has a questioning machine. And when you call her, it says, who are you and what do you want? So, Rainey, who are you and what do you want?
I am an authenticity life coach, and what I would like is to inspire all of the listeners to really bring in the new year by following their authentic calling and their authentic path. So
let's start with that word authenticity, because I know that I used to think that it was so important to be authentic, which meant I have to share with you everything that I'm thinking. And then I soon found out that the people who were being authentic with me and saying exactly what was on their mind, I really would prefer them not to be quite so authentic. So let's describe, what's your definition of authenticity?
Well, and I think that you've really started out by talking about what authenticity is not. And I agree with you. It's not about just letting it all hang out or going to the store without makeup, or it is not about just saying anything that comes to mind. It is about really living in alignment with your soul. It's about being in your authentic truth and living your path.
So how did you even come up with that? Like, what happened? Obviously, I know the story, but my listeners don't have the story. So tell us what put you on this authentic journey path?
Well, you know, Dr. Marissa, authenticity is really my life story. I am kind of a poster child for authenticity. I grew up in a very conservative environment where you were going to be a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant or a business person, and I just didn't really think much about the creative side of things. So I followed my path to go to law school and go into the corporate world. And, you know, I was really miserable and I couldn't figure out what was happening. But I kept on and, you know, I finally began hearing this calling that I was to do something bigger, something greater. And I just started writing my books in my spare time, and I started having this authentic path, this creative calling that came up for me, that I tried to navigate for many years until finally I was able to say, you know what, my path is calling me. I can't do anything else but follow this path. And that is when I started to become an authenticity life coach so that I could help other people who had reached that same point in their life where they really needed some sort of guidance.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And support. And if we look, I'm going to take an 88,000 foot look at, you know, you're born, right? And you grow up in a family. And if you grow up in America, that is true. If you're a doctor and a lawyer, your teachers go, oh, good, and your parents go, oh, good, right?
Right.
That's sort of the pinnacle, or, you know, in a helping profession, nursing, accounting. There's set things that are roles, okay, and careers that you're supposed to know, right? And say, this is what do you want to be when you grow up, right? How you get started asking that question, what, at age 5, 6, as soon as you start school. So what do you want to be? And the kids are, you know, encouraged to pick something, and based on what they say, you know, they're also responding to the reaction that people got. And I'm sure for you said you want to be a lawyer, and people went, oh, yeah, right? So then if you had any doubt, it's like, well, this must be the right thing to say or do, right? And then, like many people, you go, you continue. It doesn't matter that you don't like it. It doesn't matter that it doesn't feel good, right, in your soul. You just do it. One, you spend all this money, right, for the education. You are making good money. You are doing what you think you're supposed to do. And this is normal. That's normal in school, normal, you know, the track that you take. I'm watching my daughters now. You know, you apply to a great school, you do your best, and you take the tests, and the whole gearing is towards picking something that you have no clue if that's even what you want to do.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense, but that is the norm. The good news is we're shifting.
That's right.
Right? You are a prime example, poster child, as you said, that I'm not happy.
That's
so. So when you said I'm not happy, tell me what the voices said in your head.
The voices, you know, I can only describe a feeling that I had, which was I would wake up in the morning and I would feel literally like like, you know, when there are fingers going down a chalkboard and it's that horrible, it was that feeling that it was just like such the wrong path that I would wake up and dread my whole day. You know, I remember that feeling, and I just thought, gosh, why am I not more excited to go and be a lawyer or to live this path, because everyone else approved of it so much. Right.
You know? So then what finally gave you the kick to do something different? But let's back up a second, because you did try to do both at one point, right? So let's talk about that, because I know that whoever's listening, there's a lot of people who are identifying with you. So if you've just tuned in and you're wondering who I'm talking to here on my New Year's Eve, coming into the brand new year of 2018, my special guest today is Rainey Hiley, your For Authenticity coach, who is one of my past, former, never, always present life balance coaching clients. And she's here talking about her own path to authenticity. And if you're listening in, this is your time, because if you're going into the new year going, I don't want to go to work, it's going to be the same old, then you're going to listen in now. All right. So you tried to do both. So you said, okay, I'm going to listen to the voice, and the voice said, write.
The voice was telling me I had something in me to write, and I was just feeling this tension of inconsistency. And, I'll give you kind of an example of what happened to me. I remember very vividly. It was October 2008, and I had just come home from a particularly draining day at work, and I had bought a new house, and it was this beautiful lot with gorgeous trees all in the backyard. And the very first thing I did when I bought this house was buy a trampoline to remind myself to play. And so I would go back there and lay on this trampoline and just look at these trees. And so I remember this day, I'm laying on the trampoline, I'm looking at these gorgeous leaves of every color, and I'm thinking, I'm saying to God, what am I doing? Why am I so unhappy? Why do I feel this tension? What am I supposed to be doing? And it was like a snap, and all of a sudden, all of the leaves dropped at once. It was, I remember, I stood up, I'm looking around, did anyone else see this? Like, this was a miraculous happening. Right. And, tears were flowing down my face because it was so miraculous. And it was almost as if this authentic path was just like, it fell on me. I walked right inside, I sat down with my computer, and I started writing my first book, and it just flowed out of me. And so it was that moment that I'll always remember. Just when I was called to follow that path, I couldn't ignore that calling any longer.
Right. So it was surreal.
Very surreal. Something outer world. Yes, we are going to get a little woo-woo here because woo-woo is the path to wholeness, I believe now. And I know a lot. I have listeners that go from PBS to Entertainment Tonight to Little Hay House and spirituality, and it I always link it back to, if you think there's more to life, there is. and the more you can be open to something that you can't see, taste, touch, and hear, the more meaningful your life will become. I know that's been my path. I know that's been your path. So the book that came as a result of that moment is actually this one, and it's called The Water Code. And I wanted Rainey to bring it here because it's called Unlocking the Truth Within. This is basically I'm going to open to anywhere. Okay. So simplifying the quantum journey. We know that many eyes glaze over when they read about quantum mechanics and quantum physics. These are presently the domain of modern science. What you will soon discover is the most evolved concepts in science are actually the simplest. Truth should be easily had and universally translatable. And I want to ask you a question. Were you trained, at the time of writing this book, were you trained in quantum physics and quantum mechanics? Absolutely not.
Okay. So proof that this was not a book where I'm going to write my life story. This was not a book of I'm going to write about law or executive recruiting or any of the things that you had experience in. You just sat down and became, as they call it, a channel to some other message or messenger, or you became the messenger of something else
Right.
in this book. So what is this book about in a nutshell?
Sure.
Yeah.
This book is about the fact that we are all made up of water. We're over 70% water. The Earth's over 70% water. And water, as Dr. Emoto, he came forth in Messages from Water with his research that water actually responds to positive words with positive shapes and negative words with negative shapes. And there's a whole field on this. But essentially, good words and good thoughts create good water in your body, and negative words and negative thoughts create negative water in your body. And so it's about being conscious of what we say to ourselves, the words we use. It's conscious of the water that we drink, because we are contributing to our world. And so the water inside of us is important to how the world functions collectively.
Right. Absolutely. And again, this wasn't something you had researched, but it all came. Did you, like, when you read it back to yourself, did you go, wow?
Well, I did. And when I was writing it, I'm like, water. I mean, honestly, I was like, oh, water kind of sounds boring. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't think it would be that interesting. But as it started flowing through me, I thought, this message is so powerful. Water may be the single most important thing for us as we move into this new expanding consciousness.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
the more we understand water, the more we understand ourselves. So,
Absolutely. It's funny. I just had an inspired thought, too, to connect you with the woman who's carrying on his work now, because I had met her at a conference. Yeah, I didn't even think this. And she agreed to come on the show.
Oh, wow.
So this would be a great linking for sure. Because I love his work, and if you're not familiar, unfortunately, I've had very few regrets. But he transitioned before I could have him on the show, because I would have loved. But if you can go to YouTube and just watch the experiments, they are fascinating. What Rainey was talking about, as you curse the water, the crystals that he took pictures of were, messed up.
right.
And then if you prayed and praised or appreciated the water, the most beautiful snowflake patterns would. So it is truly a lesson. I think science is finally acknowledging the power of our mind and the positive and negative messages that come. So that's the first thing is, and we're going to do an Asian Oprah giveaway of this book, this copy. So the first person to go to my Facebook, Dr. Marissa, give me a finger, a thumbs up, and message me and say that you've done that, we'll get a copy of Rainey's Water Code book. So that's beautiful. So let's continue on, though, on this journey of your authenticity. So you go from becoming a lawyer, which you're, encouraged to do, hating your job, trampoline, trees, leaves fall, spiritual awakening. You write this book. Then what?
It was, I didn't know what to do with it. I had this book come out. I ended up writing 2 other books and self-publishing them and just kind of putting them out into the world and not knowing what to do. So I thought, well, I need to survive, so I'm going to keep, working in the legal world and doing my corporate work, even though it didn't fulfill me.
Right.
I just didn't know how to pursue a career another way.
Right.
So it was ultimately very liberating to finally leave that behind and say, I'm going to walk my authentic path. I'm going to follow this journey. It opened the door to miraculous, amazing things in my life. And it was like one little step that I took in that direction the universe took 100 steps back to me. So it's such a liberating, wonderful experience that I want to encourage and help other people feel that same way.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
And I'm proud to say that I was one of those staircases on your path.
Yes, you were.
And I got to help her. She's got a beautiful website now and a logo, and we came up with 4authenticity.com in one of our sessions over sushi, and it was a beautiful thing. It was a
Yes.
beautiful thing. And so now let's talk about the whole, okay, so the business side. For those of you who are wondering, you know, how do you transition from something that you've done and that you know how to do and are making a, you know, fair amount of money at it? How do you transition from that into working for yourself?
Well, you know, that is really one of the main reasons people come to me as a coach, because it's, you know, you feel like you have this path, and for some it may be their career. For others it might be they're in the wrong relationship. It might be manifesting as financial problems or a health problem. Something in their life, they're getting that kind of fingernails down a chalkboard feeling. And so what I do is I help people when they run into those walls and they know, hey, something is shouting at me for my attention, and it's your authentic self shouting, saying, you know, there's a path here for you, but it's, you know, it's a path that no one has walked before because it's unique to you.
Right.
And so, like Joseph Campbell says, you know, where there was no path, you know, that is the hero's journey, right? So I help people overcome that and find a way to hear that call, because if they don't and they're just caught up in, oh, I need to make money or I need to survive, you know, you may be living, you may be surviving, but you will die on the inside if you ignore that call. And that's what I found in my own life, and that's why it became just imperative that I listen to that.
So your clients that come to you are similar to the ones that come to me, just knowing that they're not happy.
Right.
They don't necessarily know why. Is there a particular process that you go through to hear that voice? Because I'm big on voices, and the work that we did, we named, you know, your critic and your brat and your codependent, you know, people pleaser one and your sad one. So in finding, how would someone identify the authentic voice? How do they know? Because some people, I know I have a lot of voices in my head. And, you know, they used to be where they say, you know, if you have voices in your head, you're crazy. I'm here to tell you that if you don't acknowledge the voices in your head, you will go crazy. So, but what distinguishes the authentic voice from, let's say, the critical voice?
Sure. You know, one thing that you will hear from the critical voice will be a sense of duty, a sense of obligation, a sense of, oh gosh, I should do this or I have to do this. Your authentic voice is going to come from a place of joy and passion. It's about following your bliss. It's about doing what you love. So, you know, if you one thing I have my clients do is I say, you know, if you had no financial concerns whatsoever, what would you be doing? What would your life look like? And that's when people really dig into their joy, and that's where you find, oh, okay, that's my authentic path. That's what's calling me. But it's a process for sure.
Right. And so I'll put the moose on the table for this one, because, you know, I know the first time I heard Oprah talk about, you know, your heart's desire and being able to do your heart's desire, and when she did it, when she had the show on prime time, I remember saying to myself, well, if I had the money that Oprah did, I could do anything I wanted to. And so how realistic is having your bliss or doing your bliss when you don't have the financial means to invest in that? Like, at what point does, you know, fantasy meet reality?
Well, and I think that's a good question, because, you know, we are living in a material world and we do need to survive. And so a lot of times it will manifest itself in a way where you can follow your authentic path at the same time you are still following, you know, your path of should or duty. And I mean, I spent 8 years doing that, where I was writing books at night or on the weekends, and I was, working a corporate job during the day. But I had something inside of me pulling me towards, that authentic path. And so I did it as long as I had to. And then one day the pain of not doing it just became greater than the fear of moving forward,
And so do you advise people like just up and quit their job?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
Neither do I.
That's not a good idea.
Yeah.
No, that's what I work with clients to help them do is like, how can we do both for as long as they need to do both? And then come up with a long-term plan for, okay, how do we eventually get on that authentic path full time? And that is the goal.
Yeah, totally. We're aligned on many things, and the way that I worked with you was not to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
So your experience, your degree in law, your experience in the corporate world, all of that lends to and helps you move into, there's still skills there. Nothing is an accident. Nothing is a mistake. There's no missed take. Every take is important in developing what it is that you move into next to. So I will just turn to all of you that are listening right now and say, for this new year, when you're making resolutions, the one that I would like to submit is at the same time you're doing what you're doing, set aside an hour a day instead of binging on any of your shows and take that hour in that day to open a space for something new.
That's right.
And I gave you that same homework, just play on Google, put in keywords that are representative of your joy and your bliss, and just see what comes up. The purpose is not to figure anything out.
Right.
The purpose is to expand in what you know or what you have inside. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that was a big thing for me because I was stuck. I'm like, well, I've either got to be this business-minded corporate lawyer type or my metaphysical woo-woo side, and I just didn't see the two ever meeting.
Right,
and I knew the
right,
woo-woo
right.
people wouldn't understand the corporate, and the corporate people wouldn't
Yes.
understand the woo-woo. So I was
Yes.
just trying to, not do both,
Yeah.
even though as a person, as an authentic person, I am both. I
Yes.
am both of those things.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
it's about really coming to a place where you can drop all definitions of what you're supposed to do or how it has to be and say, you know what, this is me. And there's nothing wrong with being authentically me.
Yes.
There's a place for that
Yes.
somewhere. And,
Yes.
and people who can benefit from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember, if I can share your path, when we started, we were going to go with your experience, right?
Right.
And we were going to, you've got, 15 years experience in the corporate world and you have a law degree. Let's go into doing coaching with that group. And then our second thing, you said, I had an epiphany. I can't do that. Otherwise, I'm still not being authentic and really. And I remember that day because she's like, I know what I'm supposed to do. I know what I'm supposed to say. I know, and it was extremely, very high vibration. And so if you are someone who is feeling, that chalkboard feeling about what you're doing, I think first to come into, and if you remember, I said, I want you to get to the place where you don't hate your work. I want you to get to the place where you appreciate what you're doing and the value that you bring currently in your job. I think that's the first step, even before priming your bliss. I mean, you can do it at the
Right.
same time, but to move away from something because you hate it is not the way to move.
Because you're still tied to it.
You're still tied to it, and you're pushing against.
Yep.
You're not moving towards. So in these last few days after this show before the new year, I would like to offer a practice of listing all those things, the same thing I made you do, listing all those things that you really do enjoy about where you are in your current field, and then do the dreaming. So let that go. And so I'm gonna after the break, when we come back, I'm gonna let you practice on me, just for fun, And I'm so grateful that you are where you are. I mean, she's beautiful, right? We can see that. But I'll tell you, the transformation when you are doing what you want to do, and you know that you're doing what you want to do, and you know that it's a process, and you know you're in that place, it's a very different look from the time that I met you. She was beautiful before, but it's like a 100,000, because it's like, it's not skin deep anymore.
Right.
It's all the way through.
Right.
And you can just see how beautiful she is inside and out. So with that, I will be back. We are at that time when we thank the sponsors of this show who make this show possible. So we'll be back in 2 and 2. Peace in and peace out.
No way! I'm so cool. I'm so hot. I'm so hungry. I'm so full.
Did that complaining sound familiar to you? Hi, I'm Dr. Marissa, your cheerleader for Hope and Happiness 88% of the time. And they also call me the Asian Oprah. Well, I have a perfect app for you if you want to lose negative weight and stop complaining. Yes, the 21-day Fast from Complaining with Dr. Marissa app is now available. Every day you'll get a balanced tip that keeps you from complaining, as well as some sound effects. If you do complain and you press a button, it will give you a sound to keep you from complaining. And if you make it the entire day without complaining, you'll get a nice warm. And there's a YouTube link also to help you not complain. And then at the end of the 21 days, because it takes 21 days to create a good habit, you'll get an overall score, as well as a way to post your triumph with your friends and family on Facebook. So don't complain, have fun, and remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out.
Peace in, peace out.
Are you living your best life, or are you pretending to be what people want you to be? Do you feel like you are performing your life for others or just going through the motions? Well, start living this new year in your full authenticity. Rainey Hiley can help you find your authentic self to live in the fullness of life. For a free consultation, go to 4authenticity.com, the number 4authenticity.com, and hit the refresh button on your life today. And we are back. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at Naturally High Noon out of the Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood, California. And then every Thursday at 7, Saturday at 1 on my syndicated CNBC, NBC News radio channel, Kcaa AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, home to Dave Ramsey and Stephanie Miller and the Asian Oprah. And then anytime now on iHeartRadio, because this is a show about hope and happiness, and I want you to be happy 88% of the time. And today is our last show for 2017, and I am so grateful for another fantastic year of great guests, great shows. Remember to go to my YouTube channel so you can see all the past shows, and it is free. Subscribe, and then go to my Facebook and give me the finger at Dr. Marissa, and that way we can keep the show going. This next month, on the 30th of January, it will be 300 consecutive weeks on the air. I can't believe it. But I have my own authentic story for my beautiful guest here, inside and out, Rainey Hiley. She is our resident authenticity coach. She's one of my former and never former life balance coaching clients, one of my favorites, who really just took everything and sped through and finished in record time and was able to leave the old and move into her authentic self herself. She has a beautiful practice called authenticity.com. She works with people now, has been working with people to help them find their authentic path. So how do people get a hold of you?
They can reach me through my website, or you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. My email is rainey@forauthenticity.com. That's RAINEY at forauthenticity.com.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And I think if you mention Dr. Marissa, you'll get a free assessment call.
That's right, a free assessment call.
Yeah. So make sure you take advantage of that if you're not feeling like you are living your authentic life. So I'm going to pretend that I'm not living in my authenticity.
Which we know is not true.
Well, yeah.
For purposes of the show.
Yes, for the purposes. Actually, it's for someone.
Okay.
Who wasn't comfortable calling in.
Okay.
So I know her, and she is a beautiful woman. She is 56, and she is exactly how you're describing, someone who is working because she has to. She's working because she is, she's a single mom, and she knows she's not living her bliss, and she wants to, she loves to do crafting. Okay, and that's her. She makes beautiful crafts, wreaths. She makes all these things, but she cannot see how she's going to be able to afford to support her kids and herself in doing that. So how would you work? I'm going to pretend that I'm her, okay. and I know her well. So we'll see how this goes. So Rainey, what do I do?
So my first question would just be, what is your desire? Is it to one day be to sell your crafts?
Well, I know that when I go to work, I have what you call that pit in the stomach, and I hate doing it, but I know I need to do it because I love my children and I need to support them. I'm not getting any help from their father, and since we're on FCC rules, I can't use the words that I'd like to that she's used about him, and he's not. Everything falls to her. And she doesn't want to go on welfare. She wants to be able to, take care of her and her two kids. So the kids are 7 and 9, and so they're in school. And so while they're in school, she goes and works, and she's in the nursing field, and she doesn't like it, and she's tired. And the only relief that I get, pretending to be her, that I get is when I am creating things.
Okay, so that's where I'd like to go.
Okay.
Like, what brings you bliss? What are the things that you do when you have 2 hours downtime?
Well, when I'm making it and when I see what I make, it brings me joy. It's like, wow, and when the kids go, wow, that's beautiful, Mom, or friends like it, or, I've sold some, but it's not a lot of money. You can't make food with craft.
Well, I would say, that would be one area that I would really like to explore, is anything that you think is impossible. Because when we've really become slaves to this idea of duty and, oh, I should do this or I have to do that. And that has sucked the lifeblood from us in so many ways, because we think like bliss and happiness and what brings us joy is something left for our 1 hour free time, and shouldn't be like what drives us. And my experience has been that when you do fully step onto your authentic path, doors start opening where there weren't doors open before, and magnificent miracles occur, and the idea that you could potentially make a living doing this is a real possibility and something that we could explore together. So the first thing I'm going to do with you is just try to break down any places where you say, oh, I can't do that, or there's no way, I have to do this. We are going to get rid of all of your shoulds and have-tos and start living in a field of possibility and living in a place where miracles can happen and your life becomes an adventure and you wake up excited for the day. That's our goal. And so slowly, every day, what we will do is we will get there by exploring what brings you joy, giving yourself permission to do what brings you joy, and getting past that fear. There's a huge fear in our society of, if I go outside of the norm, what are people going to think? And that fear keeps us imprisoned and keeps us from going on that authentic journey and following that authentic path. So a lot of it is going to be overcoming that fear before that fear turns into some sort of tension in your body, some sort of tension in your life. Disease,
illness.
I mean, it manifests. You and I both know. It manifests in so many ways.
Yeah.
So we want to stop it before it gets to that stage. So it sounds like it hasn't reached that stage with you yet.
No. Well, I'm overweight, and I know it's not good for me, but it's like my only joy comes from preparing meals for my kids and us sitting down and eating. And so I know I do more of that, and I'm exhausted, so I don't even, by the time I do my work and then take care of the kids, I don't have any energy left to do anything. So, I mean, I'm not even doing what I like to do.
So it is manifesting then in your life.
Yeah.
And that's something you have to pay attention to, because that means that, the call has gotten so loud that it's actually physically expressing itself. And so you just can't continue to deny it any longer. And so what I will do is be your partner, be your bridge between those worlds. And we will together find a way to bring you into a place where you are in a new field of possibility, where a new life can exist, where you don't where your only joy isn't going to be, oh, I get to cook tonight. It's going to be, I am cooking. I love to cook. I'm expressing myself through cooking.
Yeah.
So there's so many ways in which you can live a better life and live more fully. But it's about jumping over that fear, getting past that fear, and just really living with boldness.
Yeah.
And
So I'm ready to sign up. Are you? No, I'm serious. I'm serious. I mean, the words that were coming through my head as you were talking are, authenticity is about possibilities. Authenticity is about what I can do, not what I can't do.
Right.
Right? Authenticity is about exploring. Authenticity is about not doing it alone.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. Partners.
That's
Partners.
right.
So that's beautiful. Well done.
Thank
Well
you.
done. It's not easy to sell me. I am a little bit biased, but no, seriously. I mean, just watching you come through that and getting to a point of talking about what you do in your authentic voice is beautiful.
Thank you. And I have you to thank for it.
Yeah, I'll accept. I love watching and being a part of that process, and you are so easy to work with, and I wish you the very, very, very best in this practice. And I highly recommend Rainey, if you're feeling inauthentic for this new year. I think it's a good present to give yourself. I think it's beautiful that we are moving from there's a separation, church and state. There's a separation between professional and personal. There's a separation between hard science, soft science. There's a separation between business and woo-woo. I think that I feel my job is a bridge.
That's right.
To bridge those two, that the two can meet, and that there's absolutely a place. It's not about religious and business. It's truly about potential. It's truly about authentic being. It's truly about harnessing and plugging into a power that is greater than us, that can really lead to a fulfillment on a level that we never thought possible, right?
Well, and there's, not to get too woo-woo, but there's an expansion of consciousness going on a global level. And in order to be a part of that, we have to be on our authentic path. That's what's required of us. That's what we're here to do. We're here to give back. And so it is time, with the new year coming, it's time for us to step into that path and to embrace that expansion together.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting, your books, you wrote from a place that wasn't your conditioned brain or your learned brain. I know this show came about for me from a voice. My authentic self said radio at 4:30 in the morning. I don't know if I told you that story. At 4:30 in the morning, then the voice said radio, in January of 2012, and I never thought of radio ever in my life. And so my reaction was, "Are you sure? Really?" And then, "Can we talk about this later? It's 4:30 in the morning." And the voice was very insistent, would not allow me to go back to sleep. So I sat at the computer, and 44 minutes later, I had a manifesto, a business plan, the list of guests, everything. Doing the call-ins on this show. I know that it's not my brain. Like I come up with stuff that if you said, "What do you think?" I wouldn't have said that. And that's the woo-woo. That's the if we can create that opening in us, like you did, for your books, and also you offer, the woo-woo side for those that are, really want access to the divine, or more than just the human mind. You offer angel readings.
I do. I offer, they're intuitive readings. They're an hour long, and I think we all have the ability to access that information, but some of us just haven't had practice and aren't trained in it. So people do like to come to me to access that, but my ultimate goal is to help train people to do it themselves, to tap into their own answers and their own wisdom, that higher wisdom themselves.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, my last question always to my guests is, who would you like to be grateful to or appreciate that helped you be who you are now? And who are you sort of standing on, leaning against, all that?
I have to. He probably doesn't know this, but I'm going to give him respect, and that's Dr. Beckwith, Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith. I mean, he's just, he's really tapped in, I think, to his authentic self and his authentic power, and watching him and listening to him do that inspired me. I thought, wow, I need to be doing more. What more can I be doing? So I'm grateful to him for standing in his truth.
Yay, that's beautiful. Big brother, peace in, peace out. You got another acknowledgement for the work that you do, and we really are blessed to be in the community that he founded, where I get my positive roots watered. And so we are just out of time almost, and I just wanted to thank you again for coming on and sharing your gift and your inside and out. And I love you.
Oh,
and I want only the best for you. Yes,
I love you too, Dr. Marissa. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is Happy New Year to all of you as we move into 2018. I do wish all of you the very, very best. And it is time at the end of the show where I invite you to step up to my balance bar. And January 1st does start round 79 of the 21-day fast from complaining with Dr. Marissa. So another good life habit that I started July 1st, 2011, after listening to Edwene Gaines come to Agape International Spiritual Center to speak. And she said that you could reach spiritual transcendence if you stopped complaining for 21 days in a row. And I love a challenge, so I started it. I don't think I've reached spiritual transcendence, but I do know that I am a lot happier not complaining as much. So I invite you to sign up. Go to forbalance.org, and the only reason to sign up is not to pay anything, but that you are registered so that if you do come back and say, I completed 21 consecutive days, I can give you a prize, a pack of my motivational cards, 52 card Pick Me Up Stacking the Deck with Life Balance with Dr. Marissa. If you'd like to know more about those, go to my Facebook page on that. And there's only 3 women who have managed 21 consecutive days. Eva Glenn Atkinson from Kentucky, who just celebrated a birthday. Happy belated birthday. Janina Aravada from Japan, and Daia Jordan from Long Beach. So come on, guys. It's time for you to stop complaining and join the ranks of the non-complaining queens and kings. How's that? Also, get the app. You asked for an app. I made the app. I paid teenagers to create it. So just to cover costs, 99 cents on both platforms. And that way you have your daily tips, and all proceeds for any of my balance projects go towards my peace work on the planet. So please do get the app. Come balance with me in Sedona for my 8th annual balance retreat in the beautiful, energetic vortexes of Sedona the weekend after Mother's Day, 19th and 20th this year. If you do register before Valentine's, you get, I think, $200 or $300 off. So please do go to forbalance.org for information. Reserve your spot with a $50 healing mat reservation. And I can't wait to work with you this year. If you'd like to work with me on the beach, and I have a couple slots open for life balance coaching that Rainey did go through. And once my slots are filled up, all of them go to Rainey. So please do contact me for a free balance assessment as well. And you can message me on Facebook or go to my website. Next week, to start your business mind anew and starting the new year, there's no better show, business show this time, to start with than globalization and international strategy. And so I'm having Philip Auerbeck from Auerbeck International to come and talk about, if you have international, you can multiply your impact with your product or service. Tune in next week with my guest, Philip Auerbeck, on international business. So that's it for today's show. Another fabulous episode of Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa Pay. That's P for positive, EI. And remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out.
At an early age, people around me, my heart in a cage. It was a book, don't turn a page. I couldn't see.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to